This video is for students in Mr. Camacho's social studies classes for the 2015-2016 school year, and this video will specialize in Unit 1, Learning Target 4, as I'm remembering my notes from last year. This learning target identifies the locations of continents, oceans, and hemispheres using absolute and relative location, and we're going to really focus on relative location in this learning target. We did a lot of these things in Bell work with questions about where is this in relation to this. The basic definition of relative location, you need to know what that is, and that's basically the location of a place compared to another place. You need to remember that language, either it's in relation to another place or compared to another place. You don't know the relative location of a place unless you know the actual location of another place. For example, where is Wendy's? Well, Wendy's is right in front of McDonald's in Dry Ridge. Well, if I didn't know where McDonald's was, I would not be able to find Wendy's. So that's important that usually when you're finding relative location, it's comparing it to another place. Another example would be, where is Illinois? Illinois is northwest of Kentucky. Well, if I don't know where Kentucky is, then I don't know where Illinois is. And so anytime you're using two different places to describe where one place is, that is going to be using relative location. Another thing you need to know here for this is, and this goes back to where a couple of learning targets merge together, are the lines. The lines of longitude and lines of latitude. There are specific ones. The prime meridian divides the world into the eastern and western hemispheres, whereas the equator divides the world into the northern and southern hemispheres. That's a big deal to know that it can get confusing because the prime meridian runs north-south, but it divides the world into east and west. You're either east of the prime meridian or you're west of it, and then as far as the equator goes, you're either north of it or south of it, but it runs east-west. So don't get confused. The equator divides the world into, you think about what happens after you draw just the equator. You have the northern hemisphere and southern hemisphere. What happens after you draw the prime meridian? You have the eastern hemisphere and the western hemisphere. So that should help you with any confusion on that. Back to relative location. You're going to need to know the continents here. We had a continents and oceans quiz. You'll also need to know the oceans. As long as you know where those things are, you're going to be able to find things like the relative location of, say, the Atlantic Ocean, which would be east of North America, or what is the relative location of Europe? It is north of Africa or west of Asia would be a way of putting it. So being able to do that is a big deal. The other thing you would need to know for this learning target is to know that maps cannot represent the exact size and shape of things, and the reason why is because you're taking a round object and you're flattening it out, and in doing that you're going to change things, and that changing of the size and shape of things, we call that distortion. And distortion happens because you can't have a three-dimensional object and have it represented on a two. You're going to have to take away something, whether it's height or depth or width of it, and in this case we take away its height and smash it down into two dimensions, and again that creates a changing the size and shape of things, and that creates distortion. This should set you up for a lot of success for Learning Target 4. Good luck.